All right, today we're going to talk about what might just be the most important place on Earth that you probably don't think about it very often. It's a place that holds a really fragile key to our entire global economy.
Okay, let me ask you this. What if I told you there's a single strip of water so narrow you could practically see across it that holds the power to completely rock the global economy overnight? I mean, really think about that. It's a powerful thought, right? And the thing is, it's not a hypothetical. Because, get this, a full 20% of all the oil the world uses has to pass through this one single choke point. We're talking 1/5 of the entire global supply, all being funneled through this incredibly tight space.
And that choke point, that is the Strait of Hormuz. It's the answer to that big question we just asked, and it's what we're breaking down in this explainer.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. Where exactly is this place? And how on earth does its geography have such a massive impact on, well, all of us?
So the strait is nestled right here. It's the little strip of water connecting the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. You've got Iran to the north, Oman to the south. And here's the kicker. It's the only way for ships to get from the Persian Gulf out into the rest of the world. The only way.
Now, the scale here can be a bit deceiving. At its narrowest point, the strait is about 21 miles wide. And you might think, okay, 21 miles, that's plenty of room. But that's not the whole story, not even close. The actual shipping lanes, the deep channels that these massive oil tankers have to use, are just 2 miles wide in each direction. That is an incredibly tight squeeze for these gigantic ships.
And it's through this tiny corridor that the energy powering entire nations sails every single day. We're talking about tankers from some of the world's biggest oil producers, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, the UAE. They all absolutely depend on this one single passage to get their oil to the rest of us.
So this is the really crucial point. The dependency here is so absolute that any little disruption has immediate, and I mean immediate, effects. We're not talking about something that takes weeks or even days to be felt. A blockage, or even just the threat of one, can literally cause global oil prices to spike within hours. But, navigating the strait isn't just about avoiding the rocky shores. It's this complex, highly regulated dance that's packed with huge legal and logistical challenges.
See, this isn't some free-for-all on the open sea. No way! It operates under something called a traffic separation scheme. The easiest way to think about it is it's like highway lanes on the ocean. A super-controlled system that manages the movement of these, frankly, floating cities. Some of these tankers weigh hundreds of thousands of tons.
And this is where it gets, well, really complicated. Because these shipping lanes are so specific, ships have zero choice but to pass directly through the territorial waters of both Iran and Oman. And that creates this, let's call it, a very delicate legal gray zone.
So what keeps the oil flowing then? Well, it all comes down to a principle in international law called transit passage. Basically, this rule allows ships to pass through straits like this quickly and without interruption, even if political tensions are through the roof. But, as we're about to see, a law written on a piece of paper doesn't always guarantee safety out on the water.
Yeah, this whole delicate balance has turned the strait into a major geopolitical flashpoint for decades. It's one of those rare places where a political argument can become a global economic crisis in the blink of an eye.
And look, this tension is nothing new. Not at all. Back in the 1980s, during the Iran-Iraq War, both sides were actually attacking oil tankers in what people started calling the tanker war. And those kinds of threats, they continue to this day. Iran often brings up the idea of closing the strait whenever it's facing international sanctions or military pressure.
But here's the key to understanding the modern strategy, right? Iran doesn't actually physically block the entire strait, just the threat. The threat of using mines or drones or missile attacks from the coast. That's often enough. It creates this cloud of uncertainty, which makes insurance costs for shipping companies skyrocket, and it makes the financial markets panic. It is all about psychological leverage.
So this constant threat, it brings us to the military reality on the ground, or on the water today. We're talking about one of the most heavily militarized waterways on the entire planet. And what you have is this classic standoff. On one side, you've got the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet, which is based right nearby in Bahrain. Their main job is to make sure that passage stays open for everyone.
But on the other side, you have Iran, which has poured resources into what's called asymmetric warfare. Think fast attack boats, sea mines, coastal missiles, stuff that isn't designed to win a big naval battle, but to make just getting through the strait incredibly difficult, dangerous, and unstable.
So, okay, we've covered the geography, the legal stuff, the military standoff, but that all brings us to the most important question of all. Why should you care? Why does any of this matter to you?
Well, because the Strait of Hormuz isn't just some waterway on a map. It's a global economic trigger, plain and simple. What happens here doesn't stay here. It sends shockwaves across the entire world economy.
You can think of it as the ultimate intersection. It's this one spot on the globe where the hard facts of geography slam right into the messy, shifting realities of international politics and our total dependence on energy.
So, let me leave you with this one final thought. The next time you're filling up your car and you see the gas prices have jumped, seemingly overnight for no reason, just ask yourself, where did that ripple start? Because there's a really good chance it started right here in this narrow channel of water half a world away.
Because at the end of the day, it really is as simple and as critical as this. The world runs on oil, and a massive chunk of that oil runs right through the Strait of Hormuz.